I hated to admit it, but Matters was getting smarter by the minute. That's an awesome thought, I said. That means they only want to take teachers to the other side of the board. Matters nodded, and the question is who or what is behind the board. Vijay frowned. And what do they do with the teachers they take? Wuho's eyes shone with an idea. I know, he said. What if someone or something on the other side wants their brains? He hesitated as another thought struck him. Teachers are clever. Teachers know a lot, so if someone or something took lots of teachers, that would give them a lot of knowledge. Vijay frowned again. But why does this someone or something need their brains? I mean, what are they going to do with all that knowledge? And why did they torture Miss Priscilla? I asked. Then I froze with alarm. Was it because she refused to share her knowledge with them? Vijay gripped my wrist. Or maybe her eyes widened as her idea took shape in her mind. Or maybe she was the first teacher they took. Maybe they went too far with her and damaged her. Maybe now they can still teach us without harming them as much. Maybe they don't even take their bodies, just their brains. Do you mean Miss Priscilla was like an experiment that went wrong? Uho shuddered. Martha slapped him on the shoulder. That explains it, he said. Explains what? Vijay was baffled. I didn't want to alarm you, he began, but when Miss Polly fainted, I checked her pulse. And, queried Uho, she didn't have one. You mean she was dead? Vijay's face was the color of cemetery marble. I couldn't find a pulse, and her skin was icy cold. Mattress confirmed. But just then when I went across and took the marker pen from her hand, her skin was warm and her pulse was back. It was weak, but it was definitely there. I darted across to Miss Polly and checked her pulse, the way we'd been taught in our first aid lessons. I looked up at Marcus and nodded. She has a pulse, but it is kind of weak, I told him, getting to my feet and brushing dust from my knees. So that means Miss Polly's mind went behind the whiteboard when she fainted? Not her body, just her brain. I hesitated as the truth became clearer. Do you think Miss Priscilla's ghost took her? I'm almost sure of it, Matras agreed, and now Miss Polly's brain has come back, and when she wakes up she won't remember what happened. Ah, suddenly remembered something that had been worrying me. One of the things that hadn't made sense. That explains something. That explains something else. What? Demanded Vijay. When Miss Polly came in and stopped Miss Priscilla from strangling Lutus, how come she recognized her? I asked. Don't you remember what she said? Priscilla stopped that at once. Well, that was really bothering me. I mean, how did she know it was Miss Priscilla? Her face had melted and her body was all twisted and mangled, right? So the only way she could have known it was Miss Priscilla was if she'd seen her recently. How could she have seen her recently? Ho cut in. Miss Priscilla vanished 10 years ago. Then he realized what I was saying. Wow, I get it. This isn't the first time Miss Polly has taken has been taken behind the board. She might have been taken into that other world before, and when she saw Miss Priscilla. Exactly, I said. Miss Priscilla was the first teacher they took through the whiteboard, and because they made a mess of her, they couldn't let her come back. But then they got better at it. They could take someone's brain through the board and send it back to them without damaging it. Beatrice ran a hand over her eyes. That is just so scary. The teachers would kind of zoned out for a while. They'd just go blank and then they'd come back. They'd probably wake up with a headache. That's all. They prob- and they'd probably think the headache had been caused by teaching kids like us. She looked around excitedly. That means we solved the mystery of Classroom 44. But Matters shook his head. Not quite, he said. There is one piece of the puzzle that is still missing.